Hello everybody, this is Stephen Whitfield with Drilling Contractor, and I'm here at a pretty interesting event that's held here at the Transocean's offices in Houston, Texas. It's the IADC Advanced Rig Technology Committee's Spark Tank. Now, if you're familiar with the TV show Shark Tank, this is kind of like that, where entrepreneurs, people from around the industry are talking about various projects, various products, prototypes that are in development, and trying to get feedback from industry experts and sort of network with people and see kind of where they are and what kind of interest this stuff might bring. It's kind of like a thesis defense, which would be familiar to the guy here on my side, Justin Jones. He's a master's student of petroleum engineering at Texas A&M University. And he gave a presentation here at this event about 3D printing for PDC bits. We're going to talk a little bit about that. It's going to be pretty cool. So Justin, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So let's talk about this. 3D printing, that's a phrase that a lot of us are familiar with. PDC bits, that's a phrase that our audience is definitely familiar with. Merging the two together here. So tell us a little bit about what you presented at this event.
Absolutely. So 3D printing technology has come a long way. You know, 3D printing, all we've typically known about it is plastic printing and stuff you see in the headlines, right? But really, we've moved beyond just plastic materials. Now we're printing in steel and metal alloys and super alloys. So the capability is definitely there for not only precise printing of elaborate designs, but actually using those stronger materials as well. So what I am looking into doing is taking the stronger material advantage of the 3D printing and adding in some unconventional designs that I hope will improve the bit's performance.
Now, you sort of talked about where we are with this in terms of the phases of development here. What are the various phases with getting this off and getting this sort of out to everybody? Where are we right now?
Certainly. So with my research, right now we're kind of in the lab phase. We're working on that hard proof of concept. What I presented today was more of a soft proof of concept, where we have some data that kind of matches the results we're expecting, but we want to see a lab simulation, the computer models that really support a strong prototype, strong proof of concept. So once we get through that lab phase, by the end of it, we're hoping to have some small scale bits printed and tested in a lab scenario. And then we move on to phase 2, which would be a shallow well test. About 2,000 vertical feet is what we'd target. And once we see the results that we got from the lab testing reflected in that shallow well test, then we move on to a deep well test, maybe something up to about 10,000 feet, where we can really put the bit through the paces and hopefully find that corresponding pressure drop that we're targeting at that deep well test.
Now, I use the phrase thesis defense to kind of describe this event, but it really kind of was like that. You had to go up in front of a committee of experts representing drilling contractors, service companies, and really get put through your paces a little bit about talking about this development. So for you, what kind of value does an event like this have to get out in front of so many industry people?
Oh, it's a huge opportunity. You know, it's great just to be able to talk about what you're working on. It really helps add confidence. And when you get that feedback from industry, you get an idea of where the heads, the people making those business decisions, what they're looking at, what they think is important. So for me personally, I can put my research out there, get people talking about it, get people familiar with things like the 3D printing technology, like this innovative hydraulic performance design, and now it's on their minds. And so they can go back to their team, figure out how valuable it is to us, what's the promise of these innovations in the industry, and what could this mean for our drill bit design. So for me, you know, it's getting that feedback and seeing the holes that I may have missed in my own planning. So when I'm doing the lab tests, when I'm figuring out how my research is applicable to industry, I need to know where my blind spots are. And that's one of the huge advantages of coming to Shark Tank, to talking with industry professionals and thinking about things that maybe I wasn't really aware of, or maybe I didn't put much emphasis on, but are actually a really big deal to them. So it's a huge opportunity.
Well, Justin, it was fantastic to see you out here and to hear the research that you guys are doing, and hopefully we hear more and more about this in the future, maybe from this event, maybe sparking further development. But we appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it.
And thank you for visiting drillingcontractor.org.